sell out membership for 2022 season. Next year, a potential waiting list for fans looking for season tickets. Just wanted to ask you how you feel about the support of the Dolphins fans.
How I feel about it, I mean, it's everything. It's important enough that I think it's important to communicate it to the players. I think it's something that we're not entitled to, but it's a competitive advantage, and it's kind of why you do what you do. So it's really something cool that the players know about. It means a lot to, and it's just another reason for us to go about our daily process with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that we pay them back for their investment in us. And I think that's something that the players, coaches, and the organization holds true to heart.
Are you looking forward to having fans and the support today, creating a little bit of an atmosphere? What's kind of the message ahead of that?
I love having fans at practice. It's kind of true to my heart because that's literally full circle. That's where training camp practice in Greeley, Colorado, for the Denver Broncos, where I got where this whole thing for me started. So there is a connection that I think you can have with the fans, in that and I tell the players a good amount is, how fortunate are you to be doing something that there's a lot of front end commitment, there's a lot of sacrifice. Again, people don't realize that players only have one day off a week for like 7 months straight. But that it's also purposeful, because not only are you trying to have success for yourself, for your team, but how cool is it that you there's millions of people that you can make their day a little more positive, make Monday work day a little bit better, just by doing what you do. Everybody wins. So that's really true to my heart, close to my heart, and it's the guys are fired up and feel pretty fortunate. Sorry, you never know when my statement's going to stop, so it is a tough jump in. You don't worry about it.
I was just going to follow up. So there's some 10-year-old protege out there that might be coming for your job in about 10 years, 20 years.
That's why I didn't allow any ambitious children to practice. That was the one thing that I cut out.
Mike, the two veterans who are not in any list who we haven't seen practice yet, Michael Dieter, Adam Butler, are they expected back by the start of the regular season?
Yeah, the Adam Butler, both the guys that are kind of TBD. Adam Butler is dealing with some a slight injury that he's trying to work through, and Dieter just had a little foot deal. It was the first or second day of practice, I can't remember. Both guys, we're kind of waiting through the weekend to get a little more information on, so I don't totally know what that's going to look like moving forward. But we'll handle it whatever way we need to once we get a little bit more information.
Mike, what have you seen out of Raheem so far? We saw that big run he broke off yesterday, but how has he been, developing through his rehab?
He was really fast yesterday, so that a boy. I think it's it's cool because his teammates recognize it too. All the players, when you come off from a season long injury, players really understand what that's like, where you're on a team, then you have to go, you get injured, you have to rehab. It's kind of you're isolated a little bit. So to see how hard that guy has worked, his teammates, he had the fastest time at practice yesterday. And I do a little thing where I announce that every team meeting. And he got like a unsolicited round of applause. So I think it's, he's continuing the process. Like I've explained to you guys before, it's very important to us to take all measures to try to be smart with a guy's return. So, but in those, as he gets going and he gets used to everything, I think we all believe that he'll start showing that speed more and more and more.
Mike, is there? Has made some impressive plays early in camp. What are your thoughts on having him at the back end of the defense?
I like having him, especially on the team that I'm on and not the team that I'm playing against. It's been cool. I didn't know too much about him before I'd studied our tape here, and his play as a rookie was very impressive, and the way he's been diligent about approaching his craft. He's serious about continuing to take his game to the next level, and that as an impact player is something that the Dolphins team, all of us, are dependent on.
Mike, what is the challenge of Mike? What as much as you like having fans there, as much as you like having fans out there, and it's obviously 32.
How much do I like it?
No, I mean knowing that you like having fans out there. And knowing that 32 teams do it, what is the challenge? And realistic, what is the challenge of having a couple thousand volunteer scouts out there with phones and Twitter accounts and Instagram and all those things? Like, how much do you have to dump things down the days that practices are open?
Yeah, for all opponents watching, nothing that you ever see or nothing that you see today will ever run again. It is a challenge. You have to think about it, and it makes it. You just have to be very mindful of it. Listen, people are going to have an idea of what you are and how you play, and a lot of people do similar things in the National Football League with regard to scheme. But if there's certain things that you have lined up for certain opponents, you have to plan around that. The good thing is when you're not going to be able to control what gets out into the interwebs. And so you do adjust to a degree. But then there's another part that you're trying to you're trying to say at some point we need to be good enough at what we do that we should be able to execute when they know it's coming. So yes and no. To answer your question, is that pretty much what you're getting at? Yeah.
There has to be some.
Definitely is. Yeah.
I think it's been 9 years since the Dolphins had a player enter a season on the franchise tag. I think someone can fact check that for me. But Gesicki is going to do that this year, and so I'm wondering if you've been around tagged guys, and if there's some sort of conscious effort that you all need to make sure he feels loved, not just liked.
Yeah. No. We try to do at least 10 million reasons that he's liked. No, we have, and that's something that you have to. You understand that it's a business. There's a CBA. There's different rules that you have to. That everyone has the same. That you have to try to operate as best you can as an organization. Now, I will say, no, I think it's important to talk to the player. In my experience, to talk to the player. Candidly, understanding the situation. Talked to Mike early and said, "Hey, listen, this is something that's best for the Dolphins. I'm fortunate that I don't do this alone, and that that Chris Greer gets to handle all the stuff that's not coaching, and be the general manager, so that I can kind of stay removed from that." But I also can identify with, hey, every player wants to have a long-term max contract. So here's what we do. We try day after day to get your game to the best of its ability so that at the end of the year, Mike, you make that franchise tag look like a discount. Because what that means is that you've been playing at a level that makes the Dolphins better, and that also improves your socioeconomic status, I guess, for the long term. So everyone's kind of, I think it is what it is. It's a business, So if you just approach it as, okay, well, this is what it is this year. Let's use this and here are your goals and acknowledge it, and it ends up being a blip in the radar.
What do you think about the ways you can use him in this offense, and if you could also address the blocking aspect, where you think he is there?
No, I think all of it is, listen, everybody is trying to execute our core foundation in the run and pass game. And within that, we're also making sure that we're just not taking leaps of faith. We're finding every player's skill set, how we can best utilize it, and then put them in situations to showcase that. So, the guy is, everybody knows that his ball skills and range are outstanding. That helps for separating on defenders. We're working on, he'll be the first one to say it. He wants to attack blocking with a different severity than he ever has before. And he's fortunate, and we're fortunate that, guess what? His position coach, John Embry, will settle for nothing less. So all those things are something that he's definitely embracing, and I'm excited to see what it looks like when it's all said and done.
I'm sure you're going to be asked about this about a million times between now and December 4th, but the Niners moving forward with Trey Lance, I just want to get your reaction on, how much development he made in the 12 months that you had him, and your thoughts about him being their starter.
We play the 49ers, right? What week? It's okay. I typically try to, I'm there at one point, and then I'm gone. There's a lot of people here that are dependent on me to have my mind and presence right where it's at. So I really haven't even thought about it. I know one thing, my personal philosophy with players is that you don't put a ceiling on them. And I know that the guy is working hard. Outside of that, I'm expecting him to be a heck of a matchup to try to defend come week 8 or whatever. But I don't really have any other thoughts about that. You want to talk about Dolphins? I'm solid on that one.
Coach, you're the 14th head coach in franchise history, and it's been about 50 years since the team last won the championship. Do you feel like there's added pressure now, knowing that this is your first year and the goals that the fans want and the city wants to deliver a championship?
I wouldn't say added pressure. The pressure comes from within. The pressure is trying to do right by people and making sure you get the most out of them. I think it's not a bad thing for people to be optimistic about how you can perform. And I think that I do not shy away with the players. We look it right in the face because it's not it's something to welcome. Not because that, pressure is one thing, but what about the dividends? What about the dividends of going after something and trying to reach for it? So we don't really shy away from it. I try not to shy away from that pressure. That pressure, realistically, it's no different than any other year, for any other person within an organization, because in the National Football League, it's a very unbelievably successful business, and when push comes to shove, if you're not putting up, you have to shut up.
Sorry, I don't know if you're finished there. Hopefully. So we had an interesting conversation.
And that's all.
We had a good conversation with Chase Edmonds the other day about transitioning from inside to your wide zone scheme. And he talked about some of the things he thinks about. I'm curious what you see as how a running back transitions from different scheme to your, wide zone.
No, it's a cool process because you are aware that it is unique. Evaluating Chase in the offseason, we knew that the stuff he was doing wasn't the exact same as what we plan on doing. That being said, you're evaluating how people approach space, how people play off blockers, how people make defenders miss. So, again, that's why I don't get ahead of myself about all right, he's right here, it's going to be this way. He's been a great example of watching someone progress. He's really in the last couple of days put some tremendous things on tape with that regard in that scheme. It's a process, but you just talk through it. And it's pretty, when it clicks for guys, it's very enjoyable, and it helps them. Once it clicks once, then the buy-in is real, and they just continue approaching things the same way moving forward. Really helps them play faster when it comes to real live game bullets, and people are actually trying to tackle them.
Final question. Obviously, the week is not over. It's today. What have you learned about the team?
I've learned that there's been some trust that's been earned on both sides, I think. I think that I really challenged them to, everybody wants to say that you want to do these superfluous things and yada yada, but what about doing? And what I've seen in 3 days is guys that are following their words with actions. They care about their teammates. They have approached each and every day with the ultimate professionalism. And then there's been little pieces along those couple days that you're like, hey, that's not what we want for what we're trying to get done. And I think it's happened a couple times each and every day, and every time it's been corrected. So that also tells you a lot as well. So couldn't be more excited to chop wood and go on to step 4 of this training camp process, with every day just being one step.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.